Hello and welcome back, Squirrel Nation. I hope you're all having an outstanding day. Today we are going to do the part 2 of Riktor 101. This is all about me showing gameplay clips and discussing what I find to be the key mechanics and how to practice as Riktor. So for this video, it's going to be a bunch of clips. You all said you wanted to see actual gameplay, so part 2 is all gameplay. Very few slides. So anyways, with that said, let's dive in. For the first section of the video, we're going to talk about the farming basics, mainly leashing the buffs, killing the jungle camps, and clearing waves. When you leash the buff on Riktor, what you want to do is make sure you're in a bush so your S1 goes green because it does extra damage, and then you want to S1 auto attack, S1 auto attack, and then basically you can do another auto attack or two and then get away so you do not take experience. So there we go, there's the combo, I'm getting it down. He punished a little early, but anyways, I still got time to get away. The way that you can tell that I got away is my Cricknack hit level 2, and if you notice, I didn't get any experience. That's just how much you start with in the game. Okay, for the small buff, what you want to do is you want to S1, auto attack, then use your S2 to counter, and then get auto attacks in, and then use your S1 to finish. The reason you want to use your S1 to finish is because you want that burst damage, so it makes it harder for enemies to steal the buff. The amount of S1s you're going to use and counters you're going to use will depend on your level. Obviously, in this clip, I'm level 9, so when you're lower level, it's going to take more time. Okay, the next clips are going to be about clearing wave. On Riktor, it tends to be different versus who you're laning against, but the concept is the same. Get in a bush, get your S1, hit all 3 of the minions with your S1, do your auto attack, and then reset. The reason you can do back-to-back S1s if you want, I tend to let the debuff, which you can see right here, this sword icon, I let that go away, which means when you use your S1, it will come right back up again. The reason I do that is in case something happens, I want to be able to fight or disengage. So I'm not in a super rush to clear the wave with a double S1, but you can do that. In that last clip against Slims, you notice I didn't use my S2 until after the wave was dead, and I was just using it in case he hit me with a spear. In this clip, you're going to see me use the S2 to, 1, dodge Ryoma's CC, but also kill the wave. So see, I know Ryoma's coming in for that poke, so I use my S2 to not only finish the wave, but also dodge the CC. This final clip for clearing wave, I'm just trying to show that you can, when you hit a certain level, certain item amount, you can actually just use your S1 into S2 and kill the wave. So the other clips were early game, you saw it takes a while, but there you go, an S1, hit all 3, and then S2 and bam, the wave is dead. So just keep in mind that your optimum wave clear on Riktor changes as you get more and more items. Okay, so in the last clips, I showed you the piece, wave clear, and small jungle camp. This clip is just to illustrate doing it all. So Ryoma outclears me at first, and then I clear, and then I go to check on the small camp, because that's a standard for a DS laner. They are going to try to take the small jungle camp. So I scare him off. I see that he is running away, so I decide to do it, and like you saw, S1, I wait for it to turn green, dive onto the minion, I use my counter. Here, I'm preparing my burst like we talked about, so I can finish it just in case he comes in to try to steal it. Okay, final clip of this segment. Once again, I am going to pop out of the bush, I'm going to clear the wave, and again, I am going to go check on the small camp, but this time there's none, but I do catch the Wukong taking the Sentinel, and right there, I want to notice something really important, which is I S1 to kill the Sentinel, and then I actually wait for my S1 to turn blue. And the reason for that is your blue S1 has a further distance, which lets you disengage. So if you notice, I'm able to actually get a very large gap between me and the Wukong, and he has no chance to get any damage on me. So anyways, that is another thing to keep in mind when you're checking on Sentinel. Go through the bush, you can S1 on to the Sentinel, give it about a second, and then you will have a blue S1 to actually jump away and get out. The next section we are going to cover is Riktor's Skill 1 or first ability. The 3 things we want to cover are maximizing the damage that you get from S1, getting the knock-up from the S1, and then the double dash or the S1 reset. Okay, to understand S1's damage, it's the mechanic and then the reset. So this first clip is to demonstrate the mechanic, and what I want you all to watch is the numbers. So I'm going to just kind of come through here. Notice right when I dash, you're going to see this first number, right? These 139, 137, right? So those are from the actual dash. So that is the damage coming from the dash. Then you're going to see the auto attack, that swipe, which is 276, okay? So remember, there's the dash damage, the swipe damage, and then you're going to see a purple magic damage, right? So there are all three sources of damage. So notice, the 139, which is, once again, the damage from the dash, the 276, which is the largest number, and that comes from the swiping attack that happens at the end of Riktor's dash, and then the purple numbers, which are the magic damage from the next enhanced auto attack after the S1, okay? So why that's very important is it's very important to understand that to optimize Riktor's S1 damage, you have to hit at the very tip of the S1, and a good way to practice is like I'm showing you here. It's having separate enemies and kind of judging where the tip of Riktor's S1 is. In this clip, the main point, the main takeaway is resetting your S1 to enhance your basic attack. Okay, so towers cannot take damage from the skills, so out of those three numbers, the tower won't take the red damage, but it will take the purple damage because the purple is an enhancement on your auto attack. So in this clip, notice how I use my S1 on the enemy minion waves, then I auto attack the tower with the enhanced S1, and then I S1 again onto the minions and once again attack the tower with my enhanced S1, okay? So we're auto-attacking, you see 590s something, and then S1, and then onto the tower. And that gets me that extra 560 purple damage is from that enhanced S1 coming from using my S1 and having the enhanced attack. So why is that important? If you notice, the Scud comes out right as I kill it, and by doing the double S1 to enhance two of my auto attacks, I got an extra 1100 damage on the tower and let me kill it. To me, the true beauty of Riktor comes from the fact that his S1 resets and his S1 is changed by the terrain. So what I'm going to show you in this clip is using your blue S1, which is the river enhancement, to really close the gap, okay? So if you notice, I'm coming down the river, I'm watching, and just notice how quickly I can get on enemies, right? And then Mina flashes, and I clean up the kill with the S1. And if you see my blue enhanced auto or S1 can cover a huge distance. It can cover a flash. So even though Mina tried to flash away into a bush, very smart, right? Is because I could miss the S1, it still lets me just close that gap so well. Okay, here's another example of using the S1 reset. Notice the Virus tries to actually flicker away, and the reason my S1 reset is because I hit the minion wave, okay? So remember, your S1 resets not only on heroes, but also on minions, okay? So that is a great way for you to close the gap. I really want to drive home the point that Riktor is an amazing gap closer. So in this clip, it's very similar to the last one, but this time I actually use Flicker into my S1. So if you notice on the minimap, there is a minion wave coming through the towers right now. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to Flicker, and then I'm going to S1 onto Virus and the minion wave. The reason I do that is because if I miss Virus, I still know I will get my S1 reset off the minion wave. So here we go, I'm waiting, Flicker, bam, S1, hit it, and then I could have S1'd again there. You see I had the charge because I did hit the minions, and fortunately I did hit the Virus. In this clip, pay attention to the enemy Wukong. I'm basically showing this clip to show your S1 works on invisible. So notice the Wukong went invisible, I S1'd, and my S1 did reset, which let me close the gap on Valheim because I hit the Wukong when he is invisible. So S1 does work, the reset does work, even if the enemy unit is not visible. That matters for Wukongs, it matters against Quillins, it matters against Elsus. So I just wanted to show you that in this clip. This is the final clip in the double dash S1 mechanic, and it just kind of puts everything together. The usage of minions, the usage of the different colors of S1. So in this case, I'm actually going to use the blue S1 to close the gap on a Nacroth. Nacroth is obviously one of the most slippery heroes, so I think this is a good clip to illustrate that Riktor really can close the gap, not just on immobile heroes, but on some of the most mobile heroes in the game. Moving on to S2, the two key things are one, using the invulnerability or iframe to dodge damage, and the second big mechanic is reflecting CC. The first clip in this section is to show you all how I practice using Riktor's S2 to dodge damage and just kind of practice my timing. So I go into hero trial, I turn off the cooldowns, and then I just basically go in tower range and I just practice running around dodging them, right? In and out, just dodging, dodging, dodging. So this is a great way to practice your timing. If you notice on that one, I took the damage, and over time you just get it. And make it a very quick thing, because the iframe is very short on Riktor's S2, so this type of practice will really help you get a feel for how to effectively use Riktor's S2. I think the hardest part about practicing Riktor is countering crowd control abilities using his S2. This was the thing that I struggled with most. The description is weird. So here are the criteria. For you to counter CC, it only works, one, if you are in the yellow stance or earth stance. Two, if the enemy who uses the crowd control ability on you is also within your S2's radius. So to reflect crowd control is a very specific and very hard thing. So I wanted to get more clips, but honestly they don't occur that often, and I don't want to delay this video anymore. But anyways, in this clip you're going to notice the Quillen comes in on me and I use myself to get away, and if you notice he got stunned. So Quillen does have a brief stun on his ability, and if you notice I was in the yellow, my S2 is yellow before I got over the river, and I used that counter right when I saw Quillen use his dash, which is what makes him invisible. I used my S2, and then he had to get close enough to backstab me. He missed the damage because I was immune, and then also I reflected the stun back at him, which let me get that distance. Okay, this clip also, your S2 works on hero damage. Notice right when I come out of the bush, I trigger my S2 to dodge Darcy's attack that would have killed me. So I just wanted to show this because S2 works on all sources of damage, not just how. Moving on to Riktor's ultimate. Riktor's ultimate is very strong, and it is very important that you master the ultimate's mechanics. So for this section, I am going to go over three key things. One, with the ultimate, you want to stay on top of the enemies because the ultimate needs to get ticks, and when it finally gets all the ticks, it will actually explode for huge true damage. So that is your goal when you ultimate as Riktor, is for that true damage explosion. Okay, so the ways you are going to do that is using two different combos that I think are very common. There are other things, but these are the bread and butter combos. One is you stand in a bush, you wait till your S1 is green, and then you ultimate, and then you S1. The reason you do that is because the ultimate has a delay before it triggers, and this is something I messed up forever when I was starting to pick up Riktor. But anyways, you ultimate, then you S1, you get that knock up to keep the enemies in your ult, and then you can use the S1 again if they flicker away or something like that to get a second knock up and stick to them. The other combo is actually you ultimate, flicker, then you S1. And the reason that's really beneficial is if you do it quickly, your S1 will still have the knock up and you can close huge distance. So anyways, in the next clips, I am going to show you all of these different combos. Okay, so in this clip, you notice I am tracking the Ahri. This is just to show you don't blow your cooldowns. Just use your ultimate. I use the S1 to close the gap. I use the S2 to counter because I know she probably wants to ult me or use her ability to knock me back, so I use it. And I still am always saving an S1 charge because I always want to be able to close back on top of the enemy. And if you notice, what killed her is that true damage burst at the end. So, moral of the story, keep the enemies inside your ult. Final clip on this note, but I'm showing multiple because it's so important and it's something I feel a lot of people mess up. So in this case, a very mobile hero again in Tolan, and just notice I'm going to keep him inside my ultimate, and I'm not going to blow everything, okay? I just use my S2, that's all I need to use, right? You're probably asking yourself, why did the Tolan not use all of his flicker and his S1 to get away? Well, the reason's because he knows I can close the gap, and it's actually going to even do more damage because I can hit him at the tip of my S1. So anyways, when you are Riktor, when you get into a fight, don't just use skills when you don't need to. I could have used my S1 to close onto Tolan quicker, but I'm not going to because I don't want to give him the chance of dodging my S1 and then getting away. So just ultimate, cut off his retreat, and just use your abilities, your S2, your S1 to stick on top of them. Okay, so the following set of clips are going to be all about your ultimate, then S1. Notice I'm going to hop in this bush, get green, I'm going to ult, and then I'm going to S1, get the double knockup on Kali. And notice she flickered away. My teammate did also get some damage on her, but I was already S1ing, and even her flicker would not have got her away. Also notice Riktor has good burst. The reason I am showing you multiple clips for Alt S1 is just to get a feel for the different ways that it is useful. So in this clip, it's a different bush, tier 2 tower. We hide in the bush, we get that, we ultimate, we S2, and bam, we just melt the Amelie. Okay, here is another very useful bush for this combo. Bam, the Teleanis pushes up a little too much because she wants to take the tower. Ultimate S1 on her. I still get stunned and she still dies because Teleanis is still stuck in my S1. This is the final Alt S1 clip. Here I'm just trying to show you the distance, a further distance that Riktor can cover. You notice enemy Scud, and he's also quite fed. He's level 10, 3 levels ahead of me, everything. And Riktor can just put out good damage with his Alt S1 combo. In our final 4 clips of this ultimate section, they are all about ultimate, flicker, and then S1 combos. So in this one, the enemies are coming from my tower. You notice I'm going to ultimate, I get flicker, and then I use my S1 after, right? I flicker so that they're already within my ultimate, and then I use the S1 for damage and to just kind of react in case they had flicker up and they tried to get away. So that is one variation. The following 3 clips will show different variations. Okay, this clip is very similar. Once again, I ult, flicker, get on top of them. I'm using my S1 to go through them, get that extra damage, get that enhanced auto attack. I use my S2 to dodge the Virus damage, and then notice I have the S1 to actually chase down Darcy. This clip is more to show how you can use your ultimate flicker S1 to ambush people. In this case, the Darcy is trying to defend the high ground tower. And here, I'm not sure if the Darcy is going to run back to tower or run up to fight with Violet, but either way, I am prepared. So you will notice how quickly I can close the gap onto Darcy. Also notice that my S1 knockup does trigger on Darcy. Because of flicker, I can close that distance and still have my S1 knockup ready. So here we go. I have my S1 is green for the knockup. I flicker in, ultimate, and then bam, I hit that S1 to get the kill on Darcy there. And then me and Violet go on to push and win the game. This clip is very similar to the Darcy clip. In the Darcy one, I know the angle was kind of weird, so maybe it looked not as good. So this one is just to illustrate from a different bush to close a pretty large gap. So currently I'm standing in that side brush right below where I'm scrolling the camera, and just notice once again I'm going to flicker S1 with my ultimate. So here we go, I come out, flicker, bam, hit that S1, get the knockup, and then S1 again, butterfly hops in, easy kill on Val. So like I said, the Darcy, I know it was hard to tell that the S1 was hitting the knockup. On this clip, you can see very clearly that the knockup was still ready and did work on Valheim. The remaining clips are all 1v1 duels, and then I will close the video with 2 team fights. So just notice everything we've been talking about. I'm trying to stay in the bush, so I have the S1 knockup, using my S1 to dodge through Virus's abilities, and my S2 to miss out on damage. And anyways, just using the different types of S1 and also not stacking my S1 too close together so that it has time to keep my options open during the fight. Okay, here's another good one. I'm coming from behind, right? Ultimate S1 in. Unfortunately, I miss Ari and I don't land the S1 or the S2 that time for her CC. But notice she's going to reset. I'm going to reset. And I actually get the timing down, and this time I am going to be able to actually counter her ultimate and secure the kill. So here we go, I land the knockup, she tries to ultimate me, I do time out my S1, and then I use that dash to finish her off. Okay, so this clip is to show a few things. 1, Riktor is very slippery. 2, it's to show you a duel with Florentino, which I'm sure will interest a lot of people. And Notice, pay a lot of attention in the duel when I use my S2 and when I use my S1. The reason I actually end up winning this duel is because I S1 to dodge Florentino's flowers, okay? So we're playing, Florentino comes, I S1 through him, notice, so my S1's still up. I tried to counter his flowers, but he out-timed me. I ult into his flowers, right? And notice right here, I'm about to S1 back through him, and bam, you saw him throw out his flowers. He missed me because I S1 through to the other side of him, and that is what wins the duel. And then this is just, to end off, is just kind of fun and happy. I'm going to use that S1 out of the bush when Mina's trying to face check it. These final two clips are to show Riktor how I team fight with him. So remember, you don't want to just dive in and take all the enemy aggro. You're kind of more of a secondary initiator, and you're still trying to use your S1 knockup and your abilities to get in there and disrupt the fight. Here we get in there. If you notice, I'm always hanging out on the edges. I'm not trying to dive too deep. And then we catch the Murad at his setup, and I S1 through him. I use the S2 there because if Murad had his dash to dash through me for that stun, it would actually reflect Murad's stun back on him, but it ends up unnecessary and we secure the kill. So the main point I'm trying to make, if you are a Riktor player, do not try to just dive into a huge fight. That was a major issue for me. I was dying so much because I thought, oh, my ultimate's huge damage, I have counter, I'm just going to dive into 5 enemy players as an initiator. That is not when Riktor is at his best. He is a good kill cleaner upper, he is a good secondary engager, so if you have that person go in, soak damage, soak abilities of the enemy, then Riktor goes in, that is when he shines. Here we are at the final clip. This is just a nice one to show you when you can go. If you notice, the team fight's already going. I'm being patient like we talked about. I get green, I ult, S1 into the enemy team, which is clumped up in our Grok's ultimate, and we get a quad kill. So anyways, I thought that would be a nice ending to this video. If you enjoyed, please like and subscribe if you have not already. And as always, I hope you all have a wonderful day and happy ranking. Take care.